We are very happy to welcome you all in this 3-day international symposium on building resilience of communities in Sundarbans. I welcome our revered Swami Atmapriyanandaji, who is the founding Vice Chancellor and presently Pro-Chancellor of Ramakrishna Mission University, now known as Ramakrishna Mission Educational and Research Institution. He has built this university brick by brick since its inception. So I welcome Swami Shastragananda. He is the secretary of the Narendrapur Ramakrishna Mission and also the administrative head of this institution. He was earlier the principal of the Verul Vidya Mandir, and he is a man of literature with a PhD degree in Bengali, and Swami Atmapriyanandaji has a PhD degree in physics. And both of them have profound knowledge of our scriptures on Sanskrit language and have contributed immensely to the development of these institutions. So I welcome our chief guest, Mr. Atri Bhattacharjee, our Honorable Minister for Sundarban Affairs, Mr. Bankim Chandra Hajra. He had confirmed his participation as the chief guest, but unfortunately at this moment, the budget is being presented in the West Bengal Assembly, so he could not come. So we're grateful to Mr. Atri Bhattacharjee that he has agreed to be chief guest at a very short notice. Dr. Atri Bhattacharjee is a very senior bureaucrat. He headed several departments in government of West Bengal, including tourism. He was earlier the Home Secretary. He was also in the Industries Department and several other departments. And when he was Tourism Secretary, he led the team of officers and others in West Bengal to the UNESCO for declaration of the Durga Puja as an heritage. For that, he contributed quite a lot. So, he is a good debater. He is a writer. He is a quiz master. He won various quiz championship. He is a storehouse of knowledge on PG Woodhouse. And he is, I met him first last month when I said that we are going to do this conference, and immediately he agreed that yes, we will support it. We will be part of your partnership. He will be here today, and he will also be there on the final session when we will be presenting a draft strategic framework. We'll be discussing, we'll be presenting in the panel discussion. So I welcome Dr. Amitabh Datta. Dr. Amitabh Datta is the Pro-Chancellor of the Jadavpur University, Pro-Vice Chancellor of Jadavpur University, and he's also the director of this university, the Center for Oceanography. They are also collaborating with us for organizing this conference. This Center for Oceanography in Jadavpur University, it was set up in 1988, and it is possibly the institution which have contributed the maximum for our knowledge, expanding knowledge and understanding of Sundarban Delta. So I could not welcome in person, but two persons who had confirmed, one person particularly who had confirmed he would be coming, but unfortunately he could not come, with the member secretary, Dhananjay Singh of the ICSSR. And ICSSR also supported for organizing this conference. He could not come. So also I had invited Amitav Ghosh, a very renowned writer. And I think probably he has done much more than any other person in highlighting the problems of Sundarban in his book, Hungry Tide. It was published somewhere in 2006. And he has written his fictions and non-fictions on a wide range of issues on climate change and other issues. So I met him in Calcutta when he was here. He lives in New York. He came in Calcutta last month. So I met him when he presented me with his new publications, Wild Fictions. So he said that if the conference was somewhere in January, he could have attended, but he has gone back, he could not attend. But he has very kindly sent us his video address, which will also be playing. So I also welcome our Dean of this center, IRDM Faculty Center, Tapas Dasgupta, who has always been supported for all our activities. So now I will say a few words that why we are organizing this symposium. Now this symposium is not like any other conference or seminar or symposium. It is a symposium with a difference. Now, it is being organized by the Environment Department, but we have experts, renowned experts on the field from various parts of the country and the world who would be coming here. There will be total about 55 speakers. All of them are not here. They will be coming during their sessions, and they are from various disciplines. They are from environment science, from geography, from earth sciences, from oceanography, from engineering sciences, from agricultural sciences, veterinary sciences, fishery sciences, from biosciences, from mangrove, from ecological sciences, and host of other disciplines they are coming. Now, all these disciplines have been contributing to the expanding knowledge on Sundarban for last several years, but unfortunately, they have been working in their particular silos, and so there has not been much of knowledge integration. So this is probably one of the few attempts where we are trying to bring scientists, scholars, and others in the same platform for an interaction with each other. So this is what the uniqueness of this particular symposium. Now, another uniqueness is that it is not limited to only academics. We have scientists, we have scholars and others, but we also have practitioners who are working in the field. There are many NGO representatives and others who are working in the field. They are here, and they will also be attending during the 3-day course of this symposium. And we have policymakers, very senior bureaucrats like Mr. Atri Bhattacharya, then will be Prabhat Kumar Mishra, Additional Chief Secretary Finance. He will also be coming, we'll have Principal Chief Conservator Forest of West Bengal. He will be coming, with Chairman of the State Biodiversity Board. He will be coming, and others will be coming. So it is a unique conference where we have scientists, researchers, practitioners, policymakers, all joining together. And now that is the second characteristic, uniqueness of this conference. And third conference is that we will not merely be discussing here for the sake of discussion. Now we will be discussing this, and ultimately all these discussions and the inputs will be integrated, and we will be developing a strategic framework and a roadmap for building resilience, 2025 to 2050. So as the sessions will progress, simultaneously working on that draft framework, and which will be presented in the final session where Mr. Atri Bhattacharya, along with other renowned panelists, they will be here to discuss it, and we'll be discussing with the audience for an interaction, and finally adopting a framework, fine-tuning it, and then presenting it to the policymakers and others to take it forward for building resilience. Now, why building resilience? So that is very important. Sundarban, and why we are doing this. This institution, RKM Berry here, Narendrapur campus, Sundarban is our neighbor. We are in Sonarpur block, and Sonarpur block also is adjoining to the Canning, and Sundarban starts from Canning. From the other side, the western side, we have this Baruipi block, and we cross over a few kilometers and we come to Mathurapur block. And Mathurapur block is also the starting point of the Sundarban. There are 19 blocks in all, but not all these blocks are equally vulnerable. So it is the isolated island blocks of Sundarban. There are 9 blocks in Sundarban, which covers roughly about 17,000 to 17,500 square kilometer area, which is largely isolated. There are some areas which are connected by the 2 islands are completely isolated, like Gosawa and Sagar. The others which are connected peripherally, but largely isolated. And these islands, there are about 2.5 million people, 25 lakh people, they are living in these islands. And they are facing a very, very serious existential crisis, which is unfortunately not highlighted. Not highlighted in West Bengal, not highlighted at the national level, not highlighted in the global level. So ours is an effort to highlight that. What is the crisis they are facing? They're facing a series of crises. One crisis is the physiographic crisis about the delta. It is all delta, where deposits from the rivers, Ganga, Brahmaputra, Meghna, over the years are formed, and the islands are formed. And the islands, they are in the subduction zone, tectonically. And this island is tilting towards the east. And that's because of the subduction, the land is sinking. And also the land, which was earlier all mangroves, mangroves have been failed, we are cultivating it. And because of that settlement and cultivation, there is a compaction of the island. Now you have scientists here who will be presenting this. Every year, about 7 millimeter of land is sinking. That is one phenomenon. And the rivers, they are sedimenting. A lot of sedimentation is taking place in the river. After the Farakka barrage, the flow of water into most of the rivers have been restricted, except in the Ganga river, where there is some flow of water. That is also, but the major flow of the water in the major rivers are restricted. And that's why the silts are getting sedimented and the river bed is rising up. The water holding capacity of the rivers are now getting limited. And that is key problem. Land is sinking, river is rising, and also sea is also rising. Sea is rising because of the global climate change, glacial melt and all, sea is rising everywhere. But sea is rising particularly here because temperature, surface sea temperature in Bay of Bengal is higher than the other parts. And because of the thermal expansion is taking place, and sea is rising. And rising is at an alarming rate, rising about 17 to 18 millimeter per year. So the sea is rising, river is rising, land is sinking, and that's why. And because of that phenomena, all the climate change, we have increasing intensities and frequencies of cyclone. What used to be once in a 5-year phenomena now becomes 5 times annual phenomena. Every year we have 5 or 6 cyclones. And some of the devastating cyclones like Ayla, like Amphan, it has caused breach of the embankment of these islands. They caused saline water into the agricultural field. So the saline water, the salinization, soil has got salinized, subsoil has also salinized, ponds have become salinized. And because of the salinization, agriculture is not becoming sustainable. When one cyclone comes, so the agriculture is affected for 2 years, 3 years, unless there is a fresh flow of water to wash it out. And the people are, agriculture, the only occupation for about 80% of the population. Fishery is about 15%, 95% they, and their occupation, their livelihood is affected. So they are forced to migrate. They're forced to migrate in search of livelihood. And about 70 to 75% of the households in Sundarban, they have at least one member, one or more member. They are migrating out of Sundarban for search of the livelihood in Kerala, in Tamil Nadu, in other places. And that's a crisis they are facing. Now, so this cyclone Ayla in May 2009, it highlighted the problem. And there has been an upsurge of research on Sundarban globally. I think the amount of literature that has been produced on Sundarban, it equals only of the literature on Amazon. Huge amount of literature. We started with 2011 publication of World Wildlife Fund, and they recommended that 6 blocks of Sundarban, the population should be evacuated from that area. 2014, World Bank came out with this publication. They also said that 9 blocks of Sundarban, the forward areas, they should be evacuated, and they should be evacuated to other blocks, other parts. So about 2.5 million people. 25 million people have to be evacuated because their future is in jeopardy. Because land will be eroding, sea level is rising, and every year about 44 square kilometers of areas are getting eroded. These are all documented evidences of that. So how do you resettle? This has triggered some kind of discussion in the academic circle, but in the policy circle, there has not been much discussion. What should be our strategic approach for development? What are we going to do? We have done even enough, for save the tiger. That was the slogan. And now the agenda is to save the people. Which is more important, saving the tiger or saving the people? So that is a crucial question we are going to discuss. So we have to save these 2.5 million people, 25 lakh people, from the existential crisis, because they are really facing a danger which is not highlighted globally. We have problems of the small island developing states in Pacific, in Caribbean, and others. They have a strong political group forum. They are dominating the discussions in climate change and COP, etc. Hardly there is any discussion on Sundarban. So we want to bring this discussion globally to highlight the problem and to see what can be done. We cannot just leave them like this. We cannot just shift the population. Where will we shift? Where is the land? Where is the occupation? Where is the livelihood? So we have to find some alternative means for saving these lives there only. Some of the areas like Ghoda Chada, etc., Ghodamara Island, etc., which is going to sink. And we have to identify those areas which are extremely unsafe, where probably we have to save some population, but by and large, we have to save the people in their own habitat. And how do we do it? What is the science? What is the technology? What is the administration? What is the management? So we are all going to discuss this and then develop a kind of a strategic framework and a roadmap for next 25 years, what can be done. I think resources is not a problem. We have enough of resources. Resources can be mobilized globally. What is required is a vision. What is required is leadership. What is required is the management skill. So we are doing this to trigger this kind of discussion here, develop a roadmap, and see what we can lead to. That is our ultimate objective. So with that objective, we are convening this. I welcome you all. Welcome you, those of you who are present, those of you who are watching it. It is being live streamed. Those of you who are watching it on live streaming, and those of our speakers and others who have not yet come, but they are going to come, and they will be coming here for 3 days. So I welcome you all for joining this discussion in a very interactive, participatory, proactive manner, so that we can develop a kind of a solution to this emerging environmental crisis in our neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Dhar Chakraborty. We would also like to thank Professor Tuhin Ghosh and Professor Dhar Chakraborty for helping with the organization of this symposium. They are the backbones of the organizing team here. Now I would like to invite Revered Swami Shastra Gyanananda Ji Maharaj for the opening remarks. Thank you.
Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya. My devoted pranams to most revered Srimad Swami Atma Priyananda Ji Maharaj. My respectful namaskars to all the dignitaries sitting on the dais and in the auditorium. I frankly confess that this is not the subject of my own study or research. However, it's very much fascinating. After coming to Narendrapur Ashrama, I have seen that a large portion of this ashrama activities is dedicated for the development of Sundarban area. And especially I'd like to mention that our Loko Shiksha Parishad, through their joint forest management project and also Jan Shikshan Sansthan project, they are trying very hard to dive deep into the problems of this particular area, this coastal area. And after coming here, I have also got this opportunity to visit the islands of which Dr. Dhar Chakraborty has recently just spoken. I have been fortunate to see the islands like G Plot, Moshuni, and just other day I went to Bali. Also, I could see this Goshaba, Sadjelia, all these islands. These islands are really vulnerable. And the crisis the people facing here is really true, as Dr. Dhar Chakraborty has just deliberated. So I really feel that such an international symposium on such a topic will help us to find out some sustained methods, some sustained roadmap, which will be able to create an ambience for these people, these marginalized people, marginalized in the sense of physiography, marginalized in the sense of their culture, in their economic condition, in all the senses, they are marginalized. So I do believe that the academicians who are present here, and also I think the activists, the participants who are working, the practitioners who are working with Sundarban area, when you will be interacting amongst yourself, so you'll be able to find out that there is a gap between the research and the practice. there is a gap between the academic pursuit and the actual situation. When specifically we think of this island area of Sundarban, this particular delta. So this symposium will certainly open up this gate and will give the scope to all the participants and academicians to stand on a same platform where we will be able to exchange, share our experiences and actual experiences, and also the researchers. So I really thank Dr. Dhar Chakraborty and Department of Oceanography of Jadavpur University for organizing this seminar. I see that there are some people from our Giant Forest Management team also who are attending this seminar. They are practitioners. I think they will be also they will also accrue some benefit from this symposium. And also from them too, our researchers, our policymakers will get some new lights so that this type of policy making for such a marginalized area can be done in a more robust way, in a more sustainable way. So I hope that all the discussions, interactions will usher in new light in finding out a very good habitable life for these marginalized people of Sundarban area. Thank you. Namaskar.
My pranam and thank you so much, Swamiji. I would now like to invite Professor Amitabh Datta, who is the Pro VC of Jadavpur University, to address the audience.
Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Most respected Swami Atma Priyananda Ji, Pro Chancellor, Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Educational and Research Institute. Respected Swami Shastro Gyanananda Ji, Secretary, Ramakrishna Mission Narendrapur. Dr. Dhar Chakraborty, Mr. Uttri Bhattacharya, my colleague, Professor Tuhin Ghosh, and other dignitaries who are present on this occasion, speakers, participants, students, and researchers. It is a great privilege for me to be here on the inaugural session of International Symposium on Building Resilience of Communities in Sundarbans. I am very happy that the School of Environment and Disaster Management of Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda Educational and Research Institute, along with the School of Oceanographic Studies of our university, are organizing this very important international symposium. As Dr. Dhar Chakraborty has mentioned, the problems of Sundarbans and the people of Sundarban is enormous, and it requires an interdisciplinary approach to resolve and address these issues. I am very happy that my university's School of Oceanographic Studies are taking part in this important symposium and collaborating. And this interdisciplinarity, which is a very important issue in research today, has been addressed by Jadavpur University for some times now. And with that intention, university started the different interdisciplinary schools back in the 1980s, when such concept of interdisciplinarity was somewhat new, at least in this country. And by this time now, we in our university has 21 interdisciplinary schools clubbed together under a separate faculty called Faculty of Interdisciplinary Studies. And all these schools, they work in various important areas, as does the School of Oceanographic Studies. They work in various ocean-related activities, of which Sundarban is a very important one. We know that Sundarban is the largest mangrove forest of the world, And it is basically in the delta of Ganga, Brahmaputra, and Meghna, as Dr. Dhar Chakraborty has mentioned. And these mangroves, they have a unique character as they act as carbon sink and help the environment in sustaining. And that is why it is very important in today's context to look for the resilience of the communities of the 25 lakh people, as Dr. Dhar Chakraborty was mentioning, who are residing in Sundarban. As the human civilization is developing, and we have to understand what is meant by this development. The development is something which is somewhat different from growth. Growth can either be positive or negative, but development in true sense should always be positive. And this development, as we have seen in the human civilization, is being measured by various indices. Firstly, at one point of time, we used to measure development through economic development. But does it really, can it be measured only through economics? Probably not. And that is why other indices came into being, like human development index. When we measure development through economics as well as through education and health. But of late, what we are measuring as development is basically sustainable development. Development in a way so that the earth can sustain, we can live in harmony with the nature, and the future generations' prospects can be retained. And considering that sustainability and sustainable development, what we are finding now is the development, the industrial development that we have seen over the last few centuries, last couple of centuries, is actually has affected the earth and its environment to a great extent, resulting in the formation of climate change, of which global warming is a very important issue. If we look at the temperature of the earth, we know that the last 10 years is the warmest 10 years of the earth. When the temperature, the average temperature of the earth has gone up to more than 1 degree from that, the average value before the Industrial Revolution. In 2015, when the Paris Agreement was signed, it was agreed by the countries who signed the agreement that they will work together to keep the temperature of the earth within 1.5 degrees centigrade from that of the temperature before Industrial Revolution. But the meteorological data shows that in the last year, the Earth's temperature has gone up to 1.55 degrees centigrade above the average temperature before Industrial Revolution. So we have already exceeded 1.5 degree. Of course, that 1.5 degree which we agreed upon was not the not the annual value. It should be a long-term value measured over a decade or so. So if you consider the decade, maybe the temperature will remain below 1.5. But if this trend continues, then probably we will not be able to keep the temperature down as is required. And as a result of this global warming, the sea level is rising. Other things are happening, like regular occurrence of tropical cyclones, and all these are affecting the Sundarban areas. Sundarban areas is becoming one of the most vulnerable spot as a result of these adversities that we see in the environment. So the communities living there are getting affected. Now, what to do? What policies are to be taken? What technicalities are to be adopted? All these should be researched upon and should be discussed in detail, considering all the different areas of researches which are to be concerned. So I'm very happy that this international symposium is being organized, taking into its fold researchers from various areas, policymakers, NGOs, and all of them, I'm sure, I have heard that 55 speakers will be there over this 3-day-long conference, which is a very large number. And I'm sure that all these deliberations will come together to form a roadmap which will really build resilience for the communities of the Sundarbans in the coming day. I wish this conference, this symposium, a great success, and feel that all the participants will have a very, very large takeaway out of this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Datta. Now, as Professor Dhar Chakraborty already mentioned, we have a video message from Dr. Amitav Ghosh, who is a Gyanpith Award winner and writer of numerous books, including Hungry Tide, which showcases Sundarbans in such an interesting way. So we will move on to the video address, a beautiful one at that.
I am Amitav Ghosh, and I consider it both a privilege and a responsibility to welcome you to this official symposium. I am Amitav Ghosh, and I consider it both a privilege and a responsibility to welcome you to this official symposium on the Sundarban, a region of unparalleled ecological significance and profound human resilience. The Sundarban, formed at the confluence of the Ganga, Meghna and Brahmaputra rivers with the Bay of Bengal, is not just the world's largest contiguous mangrove forest, but also a living testament to the intricate relationship between nature and humanity. Today, this deltaic region faces an existential crisis. Environmental degradation, rising sea levels, and extreme weather events exacerbated by climate change are threatening its delicate ecosystems and the livelihoods of nearly 12 million people. Over the last 2 centuries, the Sundarban has lost significant landmass, while its communities, reliant on subsistent farming, fishing, and forest products, grapple with poverty, displacement, and the growing specter of climate-induced migration. Despite numerous initiatives by governments and organizations, the challenges persist, often addressed in silos without a comprehensive multi-sectoral approach. This symposium seeks to change that. Over the next few days, you will explore the physiographic, climatic, social, economic, and environmental changes driving this crisis. You will deliberate on ecosystem-based, scientific, and community-driven solutions that are sustainable, cost-effective, and inclusive. Central to your discussions must be the role of indigenous knowledge. The people of the Sundarban have lived with nature's rhythms for generations, developing traditional wisdom and coping mechanisms that are invaluable in our global fight against climate change. By integrating this local knowledge with innovative technologies and practices, we can build resilience that is both effective and equitable. Your goal is clear: to develop a roadmap for the Sundarban that reduces disaster risks, adapts to climate change, enhances livelihoods, and eradicates poverty. This roadmap must be gender sensitive, inclusive, and actionable across short, medium, and long-term horizons. Let us hope that this symposium will break down silos, foster collaboration, and co-create solutions that honor the Sundarban's unique ecology and the resilience of its people. Thank you for your commitment to this cause.
Thank you so much to Dr. Ghosh, who couldn't be here in person but sent us this beautiful video. I will now invite Sri O3 Bhattacharya, who is the chief guest today, to address the audience.
Swamiji Pranam. My regards to all the other distinguished panelists here. How many people here do not understand Bangla? Would you please raise your hands? যাক তাহলে বাংলাতেও বলা যাবে। নমস্কার। পুরোটা হয়তো বার পাবো না। আমার নাম অত্রি ভট্টাচার্য, আমি গভর্নমেন্ট সার্ভেন্ট। আই হ্যাপেন টু বি ইন দ্য সুন্দরবন অ্যাফেয়ার্স ডিপার্টমেন্ট, হ্যাভ বিন দেয়ার ফর আ কাপল অফ ইয়ার্স নাও। আর বাকি এখানে যারা আছেন তাদের সঙ্গে আমার একটা পার্থক্য আছে, সেটা হলো যে আপনারা সবাই বিশারদ, আপনারা পড়াশোনা করে অনেক কিছু জানেন, আমার কাছে শুধু প্রশ্ন আছে। I am the sole person on this panel who does not know enough about the subject, although I head the department. সুতরাং I accept that bureaucrats are often vilified. When I on social media, I see that everybody loves a chance to bash bureaucrats. One continuing complaint is that bureaucrats think they know everything. So there I can say that I am an exception. I accept that I know very little. But I'm very happy to see that this symposium has been put together to cover practically all the subjects and all the issues that have come up in my mind during my time in this department. So great regards, sir, to Professor Dhar Chakraborty for putting this together, not just for the huge organizational effort required, but also for the choice of subjects and issues and getting the speakers. This is very, very valuable to me. এখানে কিছু সমস্যা আছে, আমরা সমস্যা নিয়েই কথা বলি বেশি। তো সুন্দরবনের প্রধান সমস্যা কি জানেন? মানুষ। The World Bank, as somebody mentioned, আপনি বললেন স্যার, the World Bank had said in a 2014 report that you need to evacuate either 4 or 9 blocks. বলা খুব সহজ, মানুষকে কে সরাবে? সরালে তারা কোথায় যাবে? The point is that the Sundarbans today face a problem primarily because of the conflict of man and nature. That is the basic problem. On a global scale, global warming is causing the rise in sea levels. And which brings global warming is causing the climate change, which brings the cyclones. These natural phenomena are causing great harm to the human population, of course, to the natural flora and fauna also, but to the human population. How do we address that? By moving away from the Sundarban. এখানে ঝড় আসে তাই এখানে আর থাকবো না, এটা কি বাস্তব? এটা তো বাস্তব নয়। On the other hand, there is also the issue of man versus nature and the damage that man is causing to nature. A lot of it is due to the need for survival. And I used to think earlier that it was only with the British settlements that human population in the Sundarbans increased. But arektu porashona korechi, that's not true. There is evidence of human habitation in the Sundarbans from at least the 4th century AD, মানে 1500 বছর। বাংলাদেশে বাগমারা বলে একটা জায়গায় there are some old ruins which are apparently related to চাঁদ সদাগর। চাঁদ সদাগরের গল্প শুনে আমরা বড় হয়েছি, বাট সেটা তার যেটা বাস্তবতা ছিল সেটা আজকে জানছি। So you cannot take the human element out of the Sundarbans. Then where are the solutions? And people seem to think that it is very easy, that চল একটু সুন্দর, মানে সরকারি কর্মচারী, সুন্দরবন দপ্তরে কাজ করি, বন্ধু বান্ধব চেনাশোনা সব, এই তাহলে আমরা একটু সুন্দরবন ঘুরে আসি, বাঘ দেখাতে পারবি তো? ভাই ফোন তুলছে না, অ্যাপয়েন্টমেন্ট দিচ্ছে না, কি করে বলবো? এর বেশি আর কি বলতে পারি? বাঘ যেন বসে আছে দেখা দেওয়ার জন্য। আর বাঘ ছাড়াও যে সুন্দরবনে অনেক কিছু আছে সেটা লোকের খুব একটা খেয়াল থাকে না। আমরা কি দেখি? Now my department is a kind of catch-all department. There are departments like irrigation, PWD, panchayats, PHE, which supplies drinking water. All of these departments are also working in the Sundarban area. My department is nominally the coordinating department, but actually we end up doing roads and bridges. And I'm afraid that I have made a very big contribution. I've said there will be no more bridges. রইল রাস্তা না, আরো অন্যান্য কাজ আমরা করতে চেষ্টা করছি, শিখতে চেষ্টা করছি, which a lot of that will be addressed. Yes, sir. Now, some of the issues that can be addressed here, and can be addressed only because this is an international symposium. You see, the Sundarban issues are not just local issues, they're international issues. There are two countries here now. At this moment, the country to our east is not very well disposed towards us. খবর কাগজ সংবাদপত্রে সমানে বেরোচ্ছে তারা আমাদের কত গালাগাল দিচ্ছে, কতটা সত্য জানি না। আমার বন্ধু বান্ধব সম্প্রতি যারা গেছেন তারা বলে এটা কিন্তু কয়েকজন বলছে, বাড়িয়ে চড়িয়ে বলা হচ্ছে। Be that as it may, it is a matter of international relations where there are pronouncements from Delhi, there are pronouncements from Dhaka, and in the meantime Mr. Adani is supplying electricity there, and their barges are collecting fly ash from here. যাতায়াত চালু আছে, ব্যবসা চালু আছে, কিন্তু অনেক ঢাকঢোল পেটানো হচ্ছে যে সম্পর্ক খারাপ হয়ে গেছে। In this situation, how do we collaborate? Because without collaboration, there is no solution to the problems of the Sundarbans. আমরা একা বলতে পারি না, ওরাও শরিক, আমরা দুই দেশই শরিক। এটা কি করে, এটা কি করে সমাধান করা যায়? I hope this issue can also be addressed, even if it's only in passing. সুন্দরবন ছোট হচ্ছে। Apparently, 100 years ago, which is in the last century, when I was born and a lot of the people at the back of this room were not born, the area of the Sundarbans was about 16,700 square kilometers. Whereas now it is limited to about 10,200 square kilometers. Eta komlo ki kore? Did the mangroves vanish? Did agriculture increase? Is that, what do we learn from these phenomena? Eta ki kore thamano jay? Ebong, so there's two linked issues, this man versus nature and nature versus man. Can there be a balance? Can our efforts in the Sundarbans provide a sort of pilot case for a global study? Now, of course, we have a very vocal gentleman with orange hair who says that climate change is not happening. I don't agree with him. So aid is being stopped. We are on our own. We have to rely on our own resources. Can, seriously, এগুলো কিন্তু মানে ভাবতে মনে হয় যে খুব বড় বড় কথা, but the Sundarbans provide a kind of microcosm and a kind of pilot area where we can set an example for the world. How can man and nature in harmony coexist? খুব মানে খুব আজকাল মানে বলে বলে এই কথাটা খুব খেলো হয়ে গেছে, but it's a very important thing. There are people who live, most of the people who live in the Sundarbans are poor. A very small percentage are suddenly very rich. It is, now again, it is the people who have greed rather than need. It is those people who are damaging the Sundarbans and in the long term damaging us and the entire world. সেখানে সরকার কি করবে? Our job is not just developmental, we also have a regulatory side. Our work therefore should be to regulate the greed and to develop for the need. How do we go about that? I don't have the answers, but I have questions and I have a few points. One, let us not talk about evacuation from Sundarban, but let us at least see that there is no large-scale incursion into the Sundarban. As the pressure of population increases, you will have ecological damage. If you see, pressure of population is not just settlement, it is also movement. এই মহা কুম্ভ মেলা নিয়ে যে এত ঢাকঢোল পেটানো হচ্ছে, I shudder to think what is happening to the areas south of Prayagraj because of the sheer amounts of waste that are being dumped into the river. There is an estimate that 1/3 of India's population are going there. That is a small area. It is not meant to support 1/3 of India's population over 80 days. That is unnatural. এনিথিং দ্যাট ইজ আনন্যাচারাল কজেস হ্যাজ ইটস কনসিকুয়েন্সেস। সেরকম ভাবে আমি ট্যুরিজমে ছিলাম, বলে যে সুন্দরবনে তাহলে ট্যুরিজম, আই এম টোটালি এগেনস্ট মাস ট্যুরিজম ইন দ্য সুন্দরবন। ইটস নট মেন্ট টু হ্যাপেন just by we manage our wastes. You cannot manage the wastes. The more people that go into the Sundarbans, the more pollution you have from the very vessels that take them there. যাওয়ার কথা নয় তো, tourism দরকার। Then now this is an unpopular and contrarian opinion, go for high end tourism, শুধু বড় লোকরা যেতে পারবে। কেন? খুব কম লোকে যাবে, but the revenues will still be high. And the revenues are required for the livelihood of the people who live in the Sundarban. তাদের কিন্তু হাজার হাজার লোক চাই না, হাজার হাজার টাকা চাই। So earn that money with fewer tourists. Tourism is a big opportunity. Forest produce, etc. লোকে এখনো আমার বাড়িতে একজন কাজ করতে এসেছিলেন, she lost her son to a tiger attack. It happens today. আগে বলে বছরে 50, 60, 70 জন মারা যেত বাঘের উপদ্রবে, এখন হয় সেই সংখ্যা কমেছে, কিন্তু আছে তো। How do they coexist? The population, despite the cyclones, despite the poaching, the population of tigers in the Sundarbans has increased. বাংলাদেশ আর ভারতবর্ষের দুটো অংশ মিলিয়ে প্রায় 400 বাঘ আছে সুন্দরবনে। What is the area that a tiger needs for its habitat? কেউ অঙ্ক করে যদি বলে about 50 square kilometer radius, সেখানে 400 বাঘ ঢুকলে obviously there's crowding, নিজেদের মধ্যে মারামারি তো করবেই, মানুষকে তো মারবেই। How do we handle this? নেটিং হচ্ছে, গত সপ্তাহের খবর, নেট ছিঁড়ে বাঘ বেরিয়ে এসছে, অ্যাটাক করেছে। How do we handle this? এবং সেখানে আমরা বলছি টুরিস্ট পাঠাবো, টুরিস্ট পাঠালে আরো বাড়ি হবে, আরো রিসর্ট হবে, এবং ওয়াইল্ড লাইফ হ্যাবিটেট আরো কমবে। Is that desirable? আপনারা বলুন। So there is a clear, এই যে সিম্পোজিয়ামটা হচ্ছে, I'm very happy that it's addressing these issues of livelihood, of habitat change, of possible economic development, এইগুলো যে করছে। কারণ looking only at the ecological aspect makes no sense. মানুষের একটা সমাধান চাই, এবং I really look forward to the papers that will come out of this symposium. কিন্তু সেখানেও একটা সমস্যা আছে, যারা এখানে বক্তব্য রাখবেন তারা, আমি ছাড়া বাকিরা বিশারদ, they will produce papers of value. Those papers have to be acted upon, but to be acted upon they have to reach the right quarters. তাই না স্বামীজি? এখানে কিন্তু আপনার একটা খুব বড় ভূমিকা আছে, আপনার কথা সবাই শুনবে, শুনবে শুনবে, আপনি বললে তাও শুনবে। সো এইখান থেকে যে ইস্যুগুলো বেরোবে, হয়তো কিছু সমাধানের প্রস্তাব আসতে পারে। এই যেমন আমরা যেটা করেছি, বললাম ব্রিজ বন্ধ করে দিয়েছি, পুল হবে না কেন? One little example of how development, what is perceived as development, can be harmful. ব্রিজ হলে, এই কংক্রিটের ব্রিজ বিরাট হলো, কিন্তু তার অ্যাপ্রোচ রোড হবে, তার নদীর মাঝখানে পায়া বসবে, এবং তাতে কি হবে? there is hydrological change. These are tidal rivers. এক হচ্ছে হাইড্রোলজিক্যাল চেঞ্জ, হচ্ছে নদীর কারেন্ট চেঞ্জ হয়ে সুন্দরী বন ভেসে যাচ্ছে, ডাঙায় জল উঠে যাচ্ছে। দি আদার থিং ইজ, এত টাকা খরচা করে কিন্তু টাইডাল নদীতে সেই ব্রিজের ক্ষয় হচ্ছে। So resources that could have been spent elsewhere are coming to these bridges. দরকার আছে, what we have started now, যে ওই 300 কোটি টাকা দিয়ে একটা ব্রিজ না করে 25-30 কোটি টাকা দিয়ে বড় ফ্লোটিং পন্টুন জেটি আর রোল অন রোল অফ ভেসেল, মানে একটা ব্রিজের যা খরচা তাতে 10 থেকে 12টা পন্টুন, মানে ডাবল পন্টুন জেটি আমরা 10টা পয়েন্টে বসাতে পারি। And hopefully if we use electric vessels, the environmental impact will be minimal. এইরকম সলিউশনস, এরকম যদি আমরা আরো পাই from this symposium, I'd be very grateful, sir. তো আপনাদের আর সময় নেব না, just to say that I'm very excited about this symposium. I will certainly be here for the closing session. And I hope that the deliberations and the solutions that come up from this symposium offer a roadmap for the future. And I hope that that roadmap is finally acted upon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sri Bhattacharya, for giving us so many food for thought. Now I would like to invite Revered Swami Atma Priyananda Ji Maharaj for the presidential address. Thank you.
আমি জিজ্ঞেস করলাম এদিকে দুটো আছে, কোনোটাই তো কোন দিকে বলবো, মাঝখানে বলবো। That's Sundarban, the middle path. So I will begin with Shanti Mantra, which is very much required. জগতে সবই আছে কিন্তু শান্তি নেই. And this is a very famous mantra from the Vedas, which calls for peace of the entire world, the galaxies included. Om Jao Shanti Antarikshagam Shanti Prithvi Shanti Apas Shanti Oshadhaya Shanti Vanaspataya Shanti Vishve Deva Shanti Brahma Shanti Sarvam Shanti Shantireva Shanti Sama Shantiredhi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the heavens and the galaxies be peaceful. May the interstellar space be peaceful. May the earth be peaceful. May the rivers and the oceans and the water bodies be peaceful. May the environment be peaceful. May all the trees and the animals and those aquatic animals in the oceans all be peaceful. May the Supreme Being be a source of peace. May that peace envelop me and the entire world. Om, peace, peace, peace. I need to be there in every symposium, so I'm here. Although the subject in which I'm interested, so I have a good companion in Triji, who says this is not my subject, this is not my subject either. So we talked about interdisciplinary activity. The Pro-Vice Chancellor of the Jadavpur University are talking about it. Now it's the fashion to talk about interdisciplinary. Now people say interdisciplinary being too often used. Let us call it multidisciplinary. I asked somebody, it's the same thing, but something we need a change in name also. Then they said, not multidisciplinary, cross-disciplinary. In India, ancient India, knowledge was considered as one. We call it akhanda jnana. Akhanda means indivisible knowledge. Even now, the doctorate degree that every university in the world gives, except few, is PhD. Whatever be your subject, which is a doctor of philosophy, knowledge was called natural philosophy, and knowledge being one encompassing everything. It is human life and existence, and knowledge about everything is connected with everything else. So the idea of interconnectivity leading to interdependency is the essence of human life and existence. We have ignored it too long, and therefore we are suffering because of that. Human beings thought, and even now think, perhaps will think in future also to their peril, that they are superior beings, they have come to dominate nature. That is one of the philosophical schools. Man is born to dominate nature. These tigers and these lions and these plants and animals are for man's enjoyment. We are superior. We have superior intelligence, superior technology. and therefore we can dominate and go on enjoying. God, of course, some of you don't like the word God because I'm used to using this word. You can replace it with nature, control R. Very simple. Nature has decided to teach man a very tight lesson by sending the tiniest of the tiniest of the tiniest of the tiniest of viruses. This is called the coronavirus, COVID-19, which my biology friends and virologists tell me that it's lifeless. Sir? And when it comes into contact with life, suddenly it springs with life. What is this peculiar phenomenon? Nobody knows. All your Nobel laureates and all your intelligence, artificial and absolute, AI means both, could not stand the challenge of the tiniest of viruses. So where are we? 2.5 years, the entire globe was paralyzed, completely flat on its belly. You couldn't move, you couldn't shake hands with anybody because of fear. So we did what we are doing psychologically, elbowing people out. And that time they could not shake hands, they will elbow like that. Nobody could talk to anybody except over the telephone. Mothers couldn't talk to their children. The husbands could not talk to their wives because fear everywhere. This little virus could do that. Nature has a peculiar way of teaching man, by man into woman also, not gender bias, that's the English word. Now say they're person. They'll say not sportsman, but sportsperson, not chairman, chairperson. So nature is a peculiar way of teaching humankind. That is by unleashing the power of nature even infinitesimally, so that man can bow down, crawl, listen, and learn. Some of you must have seen, of course the older people must have seen definitely, Hitchcock's famous film, The Birds. I watched that with horror. All the birds in the world suddenly got it in their heads to teach mankind, they'll attack them. Everywhere there are birds, man had to run and run, and the bird chased them till mankind was completely defeated. It's called The Birds by Hitchcock. It should be in the YouTube somewhere. All of you should please see this. This is called the nemesis of nature. The Greek philosophers called it the nemesis. Prakritir pratishodh. প্রকৃতিকে বড্ড বেশি তুমি জ্বালাতন করো, প্রকৃতি তোমাকে পিছন দিয়ে এসে গলা টিপে তোমাকে সমস্তগুলোকে চুষে নেবে। কিন্তু you live in harmony with nature, and one step farther our ancients went, be respectful to nature. হিন্দুদের সব গালাগাল দিত, তোমরা কিন্তু idolaters, নদীকে পুজো করছো, সাপকে পুজো করো, আর বিভিন্ন বায়ুকে পুজো করো, আর বৃক্ষকে পূজা করো. We are proud of it because the trees and the grass on which we tread, that gives me oxygen. I'm not worshipping it, but I'm saying thanks. Would you not be grateful to a person who gives you oxygen? The oxygen cylinders are these great trees and the plants. You be grateful to water, you grateful to the Ganges and Yamuna. Yamuna is very controversial now. So we be grateful to all the rivers in the world because they give us perennial water. So we are polluting everything, and the kind the Mother Nature is bearing with our offenses. After all, he is my child. He is continuously making offenses, let me bear with it, but no longer. Nature will come back with a nemesis and give you tight slaps on both the cheeks and ask you to behave. If man does not behave by himself, then man will be made to behave, like mothers teach children. They tell the child, don't do this. Again and again, then do tight slaps, behave now. Don't do this again. So this is what nature is doing. So we would rather cooperate with nature, as nature is cooperating with us. What a beautiful cooperation. The carbon dioxide which I exhale, the nature is taking it in, and nature is giving me oxygen in return. It's a beautiful exchange between man and nature. Why? If man is considered a system isolated from nature, and nature is also considered a system away from man, both of them will constantly quarrel, as we are doing now. If you consider man plus nature as a system, this is what the systems approach in management does. Take the whole thing as a system in which there is no contradiction. In nature, there is no contradiction at all. Artificially, man creates contradiction for his own ends. And in politics, you know how people create contradictions and create disharmony because it serves them well. You go to some party and then come back and then go back, etc. Even today's papers has it. So you want to create contradiction, create conflicts for whose welfare we do not know. The person who creates conflict is severely affected by the very conflict which he creates. So why not be calm and peaceful and cooperate with nature? This is the fundamental teaching of the Vedas, the Upanishads, and Vedanta. Our ancients lived so happily with nature. Every day we were taught as children, get up and worship the sun. Chant the Gayatri mantra. Pushanne karishe yamasurya praja apatyabhyo harashmin samoha tejo yatte rupam kalyanathamam tatte pashyami yosa vaso purusha sohamasmi. Oh sun, you give me so much of light and so much of energy. So I bow down to you and I will constantly remember you in my prayers and worship you. People are asked to stand in the Ganges, knee deep, waist deep, and chant the Gayatri mantra. So these are not mere practices which have been handed down for religious purposes. These are environmental purposes, for ecological purposes, for a happy living on this earth. I'm very happy that Atri Bhattacharya, putting Jeev after Bhattacharya is difficult. When Pranab Mukherjee was the Rashtrapati, in the north they always put G everywhere. They say Pranab Mukherjee G. So Atri Bhattacharya G is a great admirer of P.G. Woodhouse. I was. Gogra Sharmatamra Portam P.G. Woodhouse, not only for the humor of it, the subtle lessons which he used to give. We are talking about Sundarban now, Sundarban and tigers. This is a little joke from P.G. Woodhouse, inspired by your presence. Ekjon Bag dekhte geche. Now, interestingly, we don't have to go to see tiger. Tigers are coming to us. And we are chasing them away. Why? Because we are encroaching into their habitats. They say, it seems there's a 10-story building built. Tiger is very curious. Let me go and explore. And the tiger comes, we are panicky, we catch it, and then try to throw them back into the wild habitat, which we encroach. Again, they'll come back, don't worry. We can have perhaps a big 14-story building in Salt Lake or somewhere New Town for tigers. Let them live happily there, so that you can go and see them now and then. Don't leave them in the streets. PJ does a joke. একজন টাইগার দেখতে গেছে, মানে হান্টিং ছিল তো খুব ওখানে, to hunt a tiger, and he was killed by the tiger. Then what happened to him? PJ বলছে, oh, it's very simple. He shot at the tiger. The man thought tiger was dead. Tiger thought it was not, and that is the end of the man. That is the subtle humor of P.G. Woodhouse. ইদানিংকালে ছেলেমেয়েরা কিচ্ছু পড়ে না, আমার খুব দুঃখ। বহুবার জিজ্ঞাসা করি ইংরেজিতে, বাংলাতে কোন লিটারেচার পড়া একেবারে উঠিয়ে গেছে। আমি যখন ফিজিক্স পড়াতাম বিদ্যামন্দিরে কলেজে, আমি একবার ছেলেদের বললাম, দেখো তোমরা রবীন্দ্রনাথের গীতাঞ্জলি অন্তত কিছুটা পড়েছো তো? নোবেল প্রাইজ উইনিং বুক। ওরা ফ্যাল ফ্যাল করে তাকালো, হ্যাঁ আমরা তো সায়েন্সের ছেলে, জানেন তো। সায়েন্সের ছেলে মানে লিটারেচার দিকে মূর্খ থাকে না, সায়েন্সের দিকেও মূর্খ তো বটে। জীবন, লাইফ ইজ ওয়ান কমপ্লিট হোল, cut it out in compartments. কেউ যদি কবিতা না পড়ে, কেউ যদি আমাদের ড্রামাটিস্ট এখানে বসে আছেন, দ্য ফেমাস ফিজিসিস্ট, কেউ ড্রামা না পড়ে, শেক্সপিয়ার না পড়ে, মিল্টন না পড়ে, রবীন্দ্রনাথ না পড়ে, আমাদের বেদ উপনিষদের এগুলো না পড়ে, কি করে সমৃদ্ধি আসবে তোমার? তোমাদের একমাত্র এখানে এন্টারটেনমেন্টটা হচ্ছে ইউটিউব নিয়ে বসে থাকবে, সেখানে যত উল্টোপাল্টাগুলো দেখতে থাকবে। আর বড় কনফারেন্সে আমি দেখেছি, ওখানে অনেকে থাকতে পারে হয়তো ভয়ে, আমার ভয়ে হয়তো হচ্ছে না, কোণে বসে, এইখানে সামনে বসে না, না আমি এখানে বলবো। ইন্টারন্যাশনাল কনফারেন্সও দেখেছি, কোণে বসে ব্রাউজ করতেই থাকবে সব সময়, কি যে দেখে কি জন্য জানি না। সো দ্য হাঙ্গার ফর নলেজ, just like a tiger is very hungry for its prey, every one of you should be very hungry for knowledge, knowledge of any kind. যা আছে তুমি খেয়ে নাও, because knowledge is sacred. জ্ঞানেন সদৃশম পবিত্রম ইহ বিদ্যতে, আমাদের বলা আছে গীতাতে। Every kind of knowledge is extremely sacred, and you be interested in life itself, life in its expansive form, in its variety. Try to understand life, try to study a human being. Asiatic Society was founded by William Jones 250 years ago. And there clearly the mandate is given, anything concerning human beings and life of any branch of knowledge is welcome to be studied here. That was the ancient Indian idea. And this university, which was founded, envisioned by Swami Vivekananda, I'll briefly talk about it. For two reasons I am supposed to speak more. One is the food is not ready. Because I've done administration all my life, I told the Swami, quietly find out when the food will be ready, not before 1, he said. Then he said, please keep speaking. I am the person supposed to be engaging you so that you don't feel, go out and say, where is the food? So you have to wait for at least 20-25 minutes. I will not retain you that long, but still, I've got a chance to speak. I've been teaching all my life, nearly 40 years. Teachers also usually speak much. And teachers and monks is much worse. So please don't mind me speaking about the university. This university was envisioned by Swami Vivekananda, as all of you know. And when I went to the Ministry of Education, then called the Ministry of Human Resource Development, once again, bureaucrats, joint secretaries and secretaries, ministers. So then said, how long is your university functioning? I said, 120 years. What? You started just now? I was the first vice chancellor. Are you that old? It was conceived in the heart and mind of Swami Vivekananda in 1902. All of you know, Swami Vivekananda passed away on 4th of July 1902. He chose to pass away. We cannot say he passed away. He decided enough is enough, I am going. He said as much and said, বড় গাছের তলায় ছোট ছোট গাছগুলো কিন্তু বড় হতে পারে না ওই ছায়াতে। Our problem is, even if you want to pass away, we can't. Suicide is a very bad option. কারণ বলছে তারপরে প্রেত ইউনিতে গিয়ে কোথাও থাকতে হবে, এটাই এখানে নরকে আছি আমরা, কিন্তু সে দ্যাট মাচ ওয়ার্স বলছে ওরা। স্বামীজি পেয়েছিলেন ইচ্ছা মৃত্যুর বর। যারা স্বামীজি জীবনী পড়েছেন জানেন, অমরনাথে যখন গিয়েছিলেন, ক্ষীর ভবানী কাশ্মীরে দুটোতে গিয়েছিলেন, তখন অমরনাথ ওনাকে অমরত্ব প্রদান করেছে বললেন। সো দি উইল, দি ক্যাপাসিটি to be able to die at will. I choose to die and I die. আমরা কি করলাম, বাড়িটা ছেড়ে দিয়ে নতুন বাড়ি নেব। He said, let me kick this body out. And he said, I may throw away this body as a worn-out garment, but I shall not cease to work. I shall inspire men everywhere until the world shall know that it is one with God. We believe Swami Vivekananda is even now working through all of us, all of you, the whole of humanity in a subtle body, not in a mystical or esoteric and miraculous, supernatural, conventional sense, but as a faith that great power is working. All of you, please, will agree, whether you agree that he's a God, is incarnate, and Ararishi, and all that, that's mythology. All of you will definitely agree with me when I say that is a great power. Intellectually, spiritually, it was a tremendous power burst upon humanity. And he said, I'll change the course of thought of humanity to completely in a different direction. In fact, so courageously he said, Swami Vivekananda used to throw bombs, Vedantic thought bombs. He told Nivedita once, I am going to throw you a few bombs. And many of the Americans were not happy with the bombs which he threw. Some of them against the Western culture, the materialistic dollar worshipping culture, and they used to leave the hall in disgust. And Vivekananda used to say, how many halls I have emptied in America. People didn't take to it lightly, but he went on. There was a great power which infused that power into humanity and changed the course of thought of humanity. What's important, not action, the thought behind it, which will get fulfilled through action. As our Mr. Atri Bhattacharya beautifully said, theoreticians think about ideas and write papers as we do. And people who are experimentalists, practitioners on the field, they say we actually practicalize these ideas. There's been always a conflict across the centuries between these two, between doctors and bioscientists, for example. The doctors say we are in the field, we treat patients, we know what you are trying to do. Scientists simply sit in the laboratory and then go through the microscope. What do they know about it? And the scientists say, do you know the theory behind this? You mechanically treat and so on. But both are necessary for human progress, both theory as well as experiment. The importance of theory, in which India specialized, is that theoreticians, based on mathematics, statistics came much later, can be absolutely sure about their predictions. Famous story of Albert Einstein. Second, the general theory of relativity and the theory of gravitation. He predicted many things like redshift and so on. The bending of a beam of light in very powerful gravitational fields. And about 10 years later, Eddington, who was his contemporary, proved through experiments, expeditions, that what Einstein predicted was exactly true. The story goes like this. His student Elsie came to her master. Einstein said, sir, your theory has been vindicated. You have been proved to be right. Einstein was sipping his lazy coffee and he smiled and said, I knew all the time it was right. Then this lady got irritated. What would you have done if you have proven wrong? He said, I would be sad for God, but I knew all the time I am right. That is the power of theory. Theoreticians are absolutely sure of themselves. Now, after the quantum theory, the surety of the theoreticians were badly shaken, as every one of you physicists will know, others also should know. The idea of probability came in. The probability idea emerged as claimed by P.C. Mahalanobis, the father of statistics in India, from the Jain philosophy of Syadvada. Syad means maybe. This happened, maybe. Maybe includes may not be. There's a big debate in law. Are there any lawyers here? No. There's a big debate in law whether it may includes may not. A big case in which Ramakrishna Mission lost in the Rohara case. The lawyer proved may not include may not. In many of the portions in the Constitution of India, may is used in the sense of shall, must. Suppose I say, you may now go. That does not mean you may go or may not go, you shall go. So may and may not in the Syadvada, in the Anekantavada in the Jainism, gave birth to the idea of statistics and probability. This particle is a particle here. It may be there, may not be there. How much may and how much may not, that also has been quantified. It's called the probability of the particle being there is 0.5, 0.7, not beyond 1. What is the probability that some of you may be in this hall, some of the students may be roaming around outside? What is the probability of a students of environment and disaster management department being in this hall? Probability perhaps is 80%, 90%. Suppose he is not here. What is the probability somewhere in Narendapur campus? It will be quite high. What is the probability of being anywhere in India? Almost 1. What is the probability that is somewhere in the world? It should be full 1, unless it is a decaying particle. So probability came in and shook Einstein to his very foundations. Einstein said, I just can't believe that God plays dice. God puts a dice and says it could be 4, it could be 7, it can't be. God knows what he is trying to do. Niels Bohr quipped, the huge debate in the Solvay Congress, galaxy of the topmost, finest brains assembled there. Niels Bohr said, you can't dictate to God what he should do. So we have both the paradigms in the Indian system. You can't be sure of anything, but you can be also. Now this chat GPT and then the various things which are coming, now they're destroying our faith in the supreme intelligence completely. You can go to chat GPT. Now, American educational system now is thinking of abolishing all examinations. A student of 9th grade is asked to write an essay. After an hour, it comes with a beautiful essay. The teacher says, it can't be yours. Tell me clearly. Yes, madam, went to chat GPT. Write as if a grade 9 student writes. Went to the chat GPT. Write as a student of grade 9 writes. Then produce a beautiful paper. So now the challenges of technology and challenge of advancement of science on the one side, and the challenges of balancing with the environment and living a happier life, harmonious life, a life of joy, a life of contentment. These challenges have to be faced, not by us, we are too old for it. All of you, young men and women assembled here. These are serious questions you have to think about. When I started teaching, I always tell the students about the philosophy, the background and the struggle of the scientists who discovered these things and the philosophy behind it. So when I got a feedback, some of the students said, sir, it's a very short course, time is not much. Please talk more about physics than philosophy. When I meet them after 10 years, 15 years, that they come back for the alumni meet, they say, we remember only those things and not physics anymore. Because the whole life should be guided by some kind of philosophy. Tigers are also now guided by some philosophy. The corona was guided by a philosophy sent by God who said, go and teach mankind a good lesson. So this university, therefore, was conceived by Swami Vivekananda, the 4th of July, and a couple of days earlier also. Sister Nivedita had come to Belur Math on the 2nd of July, 1902, crying, said, you have asked me to start a school for the education of Indian girls, but nobody is coming to education. Nivedita had to go from pillar to pillar, from home to pull girls out of their homes. Education is not bad, please study. And the parents were looking askance. They were like suspicious why a Western woman is coming and then asking us to go and study. She didn't know what to do. She came to her guru, Swami Vivekananda, and asking, what should I do? What kind of subjects will attract them? It is recorded, Swami Vivekananda listened for a long time and quietly said, "You see, my mind is no longer on such things. I can't give you any opinion. I'm preparing for death. But you should take your meals with me today." After she had finished eating, Swami Vivekananda poured water on her hand to wash. She protesting, saying, "Swamiji, you are my guru. I can't bear you serve me. I should serve you." Vivekananda smiled and said, "Jesus the Christ washed the feet of his disciples." Nivedita just had it in the tip of her tongue to say, but that was the last time they ever met. Nivedita never met him again. On that historic occasion, it is recorded in the reminiscence of Swami Vivekananda by Josephine MacLeod as having been told by Nivedita, the spiritual impact which has come to Belur Mutt will last 1500 years and it shall be a great university. Do not think I imagine it, I see it. That was the beginning, genesis of this university. And the last day, 4th of July 1902, Swami Vivekananda had a walk with Swami Premananda, his very dear brother disciple, Guru Bhrata, and he said, "Prachina Bharatiya Dhara bojai rekhe, tar songe adhunik gyan vigyaner anushilano jate hoy, এমন একটি বিশ্ববিদ্যালয় বেলুর মঠে প্রতিষ্ঠা করিতে হইবে." And he showed some of the lines there. এই সব জমি নিয়ে এখানে বিশ্ববিদ্যালয় হবে. We fondly imagine that those are the very lands where Swami Vivekananda trod, on which the university is established. So when we conceived the university, we didn't conceive or made to think about this university based on Swami Vivekananda's own ideas, educational vision. We chose 5 thrust areas. Number 1, based on 3 criteria. Criterion 1, this university should address only gap areas. In that, these areas are normally not addressed by any conventional university in India, scarcely addressed. Criterion 2, they should directly benefit the common man, the underprivileged and marginalized. Universities are not meant to create knowledge and write papers and attend conferences, but they should directly benefit the common man, what they now call the translational research, T1, T2, T3, T4, and so on. Can you create knowledge which will flow to the common men and women and enhance the quality of life of the common man? The third, Ramakrishna Mission institutions across the world, in India particularly, should have created sufficient infrastructure of almost a century so that we don't need to invent the wheel once again, and we'll keep these centers as off-campus centers of the university. Among the 5 thrust areas, we chose 1, Indian heritage, cultural heritage, sports heritage, artistic heritage, musical heritage, and so on. Number 2, mathematical sciences. We focus particularly upon pure mathematics, theoretical computer science, and mathematics, physics. So we are adding applied also slowly. Number 3, agricultural, rural, and tribal development. These 2 centers are located in Narendrapur in West Bengal and Ranchi, which is a predominantly tribal area, in Jharkhand, which is also almost 100 years old. And the 4th one was environment and disaster management. At that time, somehow I didn't know what it's all about, what we should do about it. There's nobody, no person to take it forward. But Ramakrishna Mission has been a pioneer and the inspiration of Swami Vivekananda to start a disaster management, which is called relief and rehabilitation. Even Swami Vivekananda himself was alive during the plague. Nivedita was seen everywhere sweeping the streets, and Swami Vivekananda giving out his uh, advice to people, Shatarkamani, don't be panicky. And he started this movement and followed by Swami Akhandananda and others. And we added also the biological sciences later on. We have now grown into biological sciences, and we have medical biotechnology courses, the agricultural biotechnology courses. We have recently started in the medical biotechnology, critical care science and technology, medical laboratory science and technology. I'm very happy to say some of the boys, I call you boys because I'm sufficiently aged. Some of the most brilliant, dedicated faculty we have been able to get. And the students who come in, although they want to be extraordinarily brilliant, we don't want brilliant minds. We want people who are dedicated, sincere, people with great heart and unselfish, pure. What is the use of your intelligence if you're impure and if you're unselfish? And all the boys and girls have been extraordinarily cooperative. And this environment and disaster management began with the government of West Bengal obliging us with the Swami Vivekananda chair in this subject. The first chairholder was Professor P.K. Nag, whom we remember with gratitude now. He built up the department. Then I was worried when he left because he became super animated. Who will come? And we're extremely happy that we got Dr. P.G. Dhar Chakravarti at that time. He just retired as an IAS officer, a very senior person at that. And then he was very glad to come here. Such knowledge and such a dedication and such unselfish commitment to the cause, and tremendously energetic. We can't match his energy. I was amazed. 55 speakers, much more than the listeners, from all over the world on a variety of subjects. Conducting them, getting funds. I said, sir, we don't have much funds. I will collect funds. The courage and the energy and the tremendous enthusiasm he has brought to bear upon the organization of the conference is really commendable. So we should give. It is not a casual remark which everybody makes during these speeches. From hand and heart, I say this is extraordinary and amazing, and is going to give great benefit. I will conclude by appealing to the government of West Bengal, not represented by you. We happen to be present here by accident. We had submitted to the government of West Bengal for sustaining this department. I personally feel this department has a great role to play, environment disaster management. So we submitted to Nariala, who was the previous principal secretary. He was extremely cooperative. Nariala, disaster management department. Of course, he recently left and then Manoj Agarwal seems to be there. And you are also a part of the whole group. We submitted, Shumanta Das helped me a lot in preparing this document, who is here now, is a faculty. A starting of an institute is an institute called Appan. In Tamil and some of the South Indian languages, Appan means father. Appa means father. So A-P-P-A-N. A is Apada. Apada is a very difficult word to pronounce now in this context. Apada means disaster. And P is Paryavarana, which is environment. A is Anusandhana, research. N is Niketan. An institution, Niketana, devoted to study and research into environment and disaster management. We prepared a reasonably good document as far as I can perceive and submitted to the government. I tried to persuade the previous principal secretary several times. He said, yes, we'll look into it, etc. I was thinking, what is the channel by which I go? Everybody knows what is the surest channel, which we couldn't access at that time. So is it possible by some means, what little influence you have, we can again pursue this. I will request our Dhar Chakravarti. We asked for a very small amount of a crore and a half per year, which is not a big amount for the government and for us also. so that this can be sustained. Our problem is funds. We have talent, we have people approaching us. Every day I'm getting half a dozen applications from abroad. I'm very much interested. They see your website. And after about 6 months, thanks to the present Honorable President of the United Nations of America, we will be flooded with applications coming away. So how do you tackle? Some of them are really good, but I feel so sad, and most of them are Bengalis, as you know. And the Bengali people they will be in Calcutta. In Calcutta, they chose Ramakrishna Mission, Ramakrishna Mission alone. In Ramakrishna Mission, the Ramakrishna Mission Vivekananda University. So please help us, anybody, I don't know. He says, of course he would. He has brought us so far. It's a beautiful poem by Cardinal Newman, Lead Kindly Light. He ends by saying, so long thy path hath blessed me, sure it still will lead me on. So long thy power has blessed me, still it will bless me and lead me on. We hope great things will come. Vivekananda once said, we should do great things. After a pause, why do great things? Why not do small things as well? The greatness of little things, that's what the Gita teaches. Bless the old book. You do small things in a great way. Purity, patience, perseverance. These are the three essentials of success, and above all, love. We are 1 o'clock, food is ready. Thank you.
My pranam, Swamiji, and thank you so much for taking us all through this journey. And I feel like the inaugural session already shows us that we are breaking silos here, because we have gotten to hear so many different things, which is not really common in regular scientific conferences or policy symposiums. So here's hoping we'll have something look forward to for the next 2 days as well. Now I would request Dr. Tuhin Ghosh to come and present the vote of thanks.
Okay, so I think we should say you again to warm welcome to the symposium. And it's very difficult to provide any kind of formal vote of thanks after this kind of illuminating talks. So thank you, sir, everybody here, and for your encouragement, for your support. And I think our Vice Chancellor, sir, is in a hurry because there is one meeting already. Anyway, so formally, we are grateful to Indian Council of Social Science Research, Government of India, and Sundarbans Affairs Department of Government of West Bengal for their support, and also Atriji especially, individually. Here, you are here and you will be here in the valedictory session. So thank you very much. We are thankful to all the keynote speakers for their valuable time and effort and their sincere presence in coming days. We are thankful to the other speakers who will be here. I can see many of them. And the faculty members here in the Ramakrishna Mission, for their tireless effort to fulfill the objective and motive of this conference, I say symposium. We are grateful to the effort from the student volunteers and all the students here. They are very, very sincere and disciplined. I have never seen this kind of discipline nowadays students. We are really thankful to the participants registered with their own interest. We could not really very much propagate our brochure and all these things in several colleges and universities, but still we got considerable number of interest through the registration. And all the support staffs here, including the hall, logistic, canteen, and all the people here. We are really grateful for their kind support and sincere support rather. Thank you very much. আর শেষে যেটা বলার, যে যদি কাউকে আমরা বাদ দিয়ে থাকি তাকেও কিন্তু আমাদের ধন্যবাদটা জানানো রইল, কোনোভাবে অন্যভাবে নেবেন না। সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ, অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ, এবং আগামী দিনগুলো আমাদের আশা করছি খুব ভালো কাটবে, একটু হয়তো লম্বা কাটবে কিন্তু এনজয় করে কাটবে, এবং সেখান থেকে আমাদের যে রোড ম্যাপটা তৈরি করার কথা চলছে সেইটা একটা মিনিংফুল কিছু বেরোবে, এবং আমরা আগামী দিনে সেটাকে নিয়ে আরো এগিয়ে যেতে পারবো। অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ ফর ইউর পার্টিসিপেশন।
Thank you so much, everyone. So we are breaking up for a lunch right now, and we'll be back here at 2 for the next session.